Eddie Chavez, Ruben Nava, and Jesse Romero. Jesus 911.
Good morning, Jesus 911 on Virgin Most Powerful Radio. My name is Ruben Nava, my partner Jesse Romero. We are a two-man car. We are 10-8, and we're here to bring you some intel, some Catholic briefing. Good morning, Jesse. How are you doing this morning?
Good morning, Ruben. Reporting for duty, sir.
Right.
Hey, we got a bunch of law enforcement topics that we're going to examine with the eyes of our Catholic faith. And here are some of the topics. Number one, we're going to talk a little bit about the George Floyd case. Is it like the Rodney King case? And we're also going to look at two studies of law enforcement to see if there's racism within the police department. And then the last segment, we're going to put a famous speech from Jack Webb. Yep, you got it. Jack Webb from Dragnet. It's an incredible speech. It's only 3 minutes long. I can't wait to hear it.
We borrowed the music anyway, so may as well put them on.
That's right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Well, Ruben, let's jump right into it.
Okay.
Is leftist Minnesota? Here's the question that we're asking: is leftist Minnesota planning to lose George Floyd case like Rodney King case for riots before President Trump's elections, or before the presidential elections? A couple of days ago, on the McCarthy report, they were discussing Keith Ellison's appointment to the George Floyd case and the new charges that were brought against the former police officer involved in his death. And the question that we're asking is, the leftist Minnesota State Attorney General, Keith Ellison, is he planning to lose the George Floyd case so the U.S. can have riots like when the Rodney King case was lost due to apparent legal incompetence, or possibly for the political motive of triggering the 1992 L.A. riots during another Republican presidency? And the former assistant U.S. attorney for the Southern District of New York, Andrew McCarthy, he showed Minnesota Democrats that they may be trying to lose the George Floyd case by filing for murder 2 instead of going for the winnable murder 3. In other words, what this McCarthy's saying, Ruben, is by overcharging this the former officer, they're going to lose the case in a court of law, and this is going to be right around the elections, and this is what they're going to try to do right before the Trump elections. Cause again gin up race riots because they're overcharged. The prosecutors know they're overcharging them, and they're not going to get a conviction for second-degree murder.
Right. Yeah, you're right, Jess. Well, because you could be charged with second-degree. Well, let's say going back to the amended complaint against the officer Chauvin. It realleges the 2 homicide charges originally filed last week, and third-degree depraved indifference murder and second-degree manslaughter. Depraved indifference. That just means that there doesn't have to be premeditation. It doesn't have to be intent. Minnesota law, it prohibits intentional and unintentional killings under most circumstances. Those killings prohibited as second-degree murder include killing a human intentionally but without premeditation. So not thinking about or preparing, before you kill them. It's killing a human while committing an attempted, like a drive-by shooting. You're not intending to kill somebody else. Maybe you hit some unintended target. You could be charged with second-degree manslaughter, if you knowingly or consciously take a risk that results in the death of a person. For example, you engage in negligent behavior with a gun on a hunting trip, and then accidentally shoot somebody. That could be a second-degree manslaughter. So this, you're right. The charges, if they're not charged, they have to meet the burden. The proof is on the prosecutor. And just to go back, Jesse, and just to let the listeners know, who is this Keith Ellison? I mean, he figured prominently during the Obama administration. He was a Minnesota House of Representatives, so he was in Congress, and he was replaced by Ilhan Omar when she, when he went to become the state attorney general in Minnesota. So he was the first Muslim ever elected to the House of Representatives.
And he got a Muslim to replace him, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Minnesota has. Did you know? I don't know if you knew this, but my friend's daughter lives up there, and like here in California, like if you hear a teleprompter that says, "If you speak English, press 1. If you speak Spanish, press 2." And then over there, it's, "Do you speak English? Press 1. If you speak Arabic, press 2."
Wow.
Yeah. So yeah, it has one of the largest concentrations of Muslims in Minnesota. I don't know if people knew that.
No, I did. I know there was a lot. I didn't know the largest concentration in this country. No, I didn't.
Yeah. So this is the problem, Jesse, is that if they overcharge and then they don't meet the burden of proof, they have to acquit them. And going back to the Rodney King case, now when they slowed that video, that was, it was a civilian that took that video, and if truth be told, he had offered that video to LAPD, and they said, "Get out of here." They didn't take it. Well, then he ended up selling it to a news station, and it must have been the most played video on TV for years.
That's true.
And
every network played it.
Every
over and over and over for weeks.
But in
a loop.
They went through that trial, and they were showing every movement that Rodney King did and everything that officers did. And when they slowed it down and said, "Okay, what's he doing now? Oh, he's getting up. What's the officer doing? Oh, he's striking him with a baton." They went through every use of force in that video. And then when the jury saw it, they go, "Wow, okay." So their mindset was that this guy could be on PCP. He's not feeling pain, as evidenced by his continuous attempt to rise and attack them. And so, I'm not trying to relitigate that case, but so he got acquitted, and then the law allowed for them to charge him in federal court for civil rights violations, and that's a lot of people are saying, "Oh, that's unconstitutional. It's double jeopardy." After they're acquitted on state charges. But, and even the ACLU was torn by this internal disagreement. But the case in federal court stood because it's a different jurisdiction, and they have the right to charge them. Civil rights initially were written to emancipate, to protect emancipated slaves. It's broad enough to protect every American from arbitrary arrest, excessive force, and summary punishment by police or other officials. And then, so President Bush at the time, he invoked the federal authority in the riotous aftermath, of the officer's acquittal, and then he was tried in federal court. So I know.
Well, Ruben, that's the same thing that's going to happen. That's what the article is alleging, that they're setting up another major riot, because essentially they're overcharging him. A jury, once they look at the thing frame by frame, you're not going to get a second-degree murder charge. And since they're not, prosecuting for third-degree murder over in that state, in Minnesota, they're going to end up either getting a hung jury or finding him not guilty of the said charges. And they're planning to, well, again, the article is saying that the attempt is to start another riot right before the elections, and I guess demoralize people to the point where they're saying, "You know what? We need somebody else there. This is we have one crisis after another. We need a new president." That's what and to me that sounds plausible, like exactly what they're trying to do. It makes sense to me.
Well, it would serve. Officer Chauvin would, if he just takes a deal, he just pleads guilty to, I don't know that they'll allow him to, but if they would save the taxpayers a lot of money and headache, and if he just says, "Okay, look, I'll take, I'll plead guilty right now to third degree," and they may take it. Who knows?
Yeah, that would save the country from a lot of heartache.
Mm-hmm.
You're right, Ruben. That would be that probably would be an act of chivalry on his part.
I just don't see how, with all that's happened, that these guys, if it's even possible to get a fair trial. And
they're not going to get a fair trial, Ruben. So you're right. I would take a plea deal if I were him.
Yeah, I am not suggesting this guy has any defense at all, because it's what he did was inhumane. It was unconscionable, and nobody's arguing that. Nobody's trying to say, oh yeah, he had to do that to keep the guy at bay. But there's 4 guys around them. We've went over this before, Jesse, and there's nothing. We wouldn't have done that. And
nope.
But what's happened has happened, and it's unfortunate. The left has used this to their
advantage.
Advantage, yeah. And
yeah.
So,
Ruben, I'll tell you where the guy just stepped out of line. I'm sure when people are arresting somebody who's struggling, I mean, you could put your neck, you could put your knee on the back, even on their head. That's a wrestling move. That's called posting. People put the head on their knee on the back of their head. That's a jiu-jitsu move. It's called posting until you handcuff them. But where he's going to get in trouble is for keeping his knee for 8 minutes 46 seconds across the neck. Had he just done that to subdue him and put the handcuffs on for 2 or 3 seconds or 5 seconds, we wouldn't be talking about this.
That's right. Coming right back, we're going to pick up on another topic here.
This is Terry Barber. I want to thank you for supporting Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And here's an easy way to support us by going to smile.amazon.com and type in Catholic Resource Center or Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And when you log in your Amazon account and you purchase products, a portion of it will go right back in supporting Virgin Most Powerful Radio. And it doesn't cost you a dime. I want to thank you ahead of time because that supports us year-round. May God bless you and your family.
How does the baby move in your tummy? How does the baby eat? Can the baby hear me? How did the baby get in there?
Wow, a pregnancy can sure generate a lot of questions. But what's important is that a baby is a baby, inside and out of the womb. Not just after birth, but 9 months before. At conception.
That's right. Every baby is a miracle. Hello, my name is Marianne Koharski. I'm the director of Pro-Life Across America. If you know someone who is pregnant or in need of alternatives or assistance or would like to support the work of Pro-Life Across America, please visit our website at prolifeacrossamerica.org, or better yet, simply dial pound 250 on your cell phone and say the keyword pro-life. Pro-Life Across America is non-political and totally educational.
A baby's heart is beating 18 days from conception.
Pro-life across America, the Billboard people.
Buying or selling your home or your business property? This is Terry Barber. Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show. And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
Now, back to Jesus 911. If this call is not an emergency, dial 888-526-2151.
Jesus 911, we're back. We are the FBI, faithful, believing intercessors. We are the DOJ, disciples of Jesus. We are the CHP, Catholics helping people. We believe the CIA, Christ is alive. We aim to ATF, assemble the faithful. We seek the DEA, denounce every abomination, and we teach LAPD. Love attracts people, definitely. Or love attracts, pride destroys. And we will, LASD, love and sacrifice daily so that we can leave all sin destroyed.
I love it.
All right.
Good stuff, Ruben. Hey, there's a good article here. It's called Higgins. Enough of the lying. Just look at the data. There's no epidemic of racist police officers killing Black America. This article is. You could tell this guy's a sociologist. This guy's a numbers cruncher. He's put all the data together. His name's Jeffrey James Higgins. He's a retired DEA supervisor, special agent, and former Hillsbury County Sheriff's Office deputy. He has a master's degree in the science of criminal justice. And he's got a lot of facts that are just eye-popping. Let me just quote a few. I'll run through a few of them. He says, anti-police rhetoric is spreading across the country faster than the coronavirus. Good line. Because disinformation about racist police shootings fuels its transmission. So he goes, last month, the horrific murder of George Floyd ignited protests across the country. And despite the involved officers being charged and most Americans agreeing racism and police brutality are wrong, public outrage soon expanded to condemn all police. So here's where we're going to get into some of the data. He says, the data is clear. There is no epidemic of racist police officers shooting and killing Black Americans. While every life is valuable, the number of blacks unjustifiably shot and killed by police is microscopic. Numerous scientific studies have proven that when behavioral, demographic, and other contextual factors are controlled, the racial disparity in police shootings disappears. But despite these facts, politicians and activists in the media continue to misrepresent the facts. He says, it's time to stop lying and set the record straight.
Hey.
Then he gives these numbers. Let me give it just there's a lot of number crunching. I'll just give this one right here because it'll make our head spin. He says, it's rare for police to kill anyone. A Black man is more likely to be killed by lightning than by a police officer. In 2019, police shot and killed 1,300 people in the U.S., according to the Washington Post's Fatal Force database. Of those, 250 were Black and 405 were white. Police shot and killed 55 unarmed suspects, including 25 whites and 14 blacks. Shooting an unarmed suspect can be justified if a suspect makes a furtive movement, attacks an officer, or tries to take the officer's firearm. And of the 14 incidents of unarmed Black men shot and killed by police in 2019, several involved high-speed car chases, fights with officers, or had weapons recovered at the scene. And this is a good line. Every shooting needs to be evaluated on its own merits, and only one of the involved officers has been charged with the murder. But for this analysis, let's assume that all of them possibly used excessive force. Ruben?
Yeah, I think that next line you need to read that next one. It's because this. When you look at the data like this, according to the FBI's Uniform Crime Reporting, there were 686,665 sworn police officers in the United States in 2018. That's one armed Black man shot and killed for every 49,047 sworn police officers. So it's not out there. They're not out there
hunting.
Yeah, systemically, looking for these guys to take out. Just going back, I know you didn't mention it, but because you hear about it, we haven't talked about it. The one name that keeps popping up, and I'll just say a couple things about Breonna Taylor, because you hear her name mentioned by athletes. Oh, we got to get justice for Breonna Taylor. They show her in, obviously they show the picture when she's at her best. She's no longer with us, rest in peace. But the truth of the matter is, and this is what you won't hear in the media, she wasn't an EMT. She was terminated in 2017. She was knee-deep in criminal drug dealing activities with her ex-boyfriend. She was on jailhouse recordings running drugs with her ex-boyfriend. She was under surveillance for months running drugs. She was on the warrant. Her name was listed on the warrant, as was her car and her apartment. When you write warrants, they have you have to be specific as to where you're going, who you're looking at, and you have to, identify them through, you have to identify them with pictures or, in this case, they did surveillance on her. So she was on the warrant. The officers were coming for her. The officers did, in fact, knock and announce despite obtaining a no-knock exception, because you hear the left always saying, oh, we're going to do away with no-knocks. Well, there was a simultaneous warrant with someone else involved in this here criminal activity, and they had a no-knock. No-knock was done. The SWAT team went in. Nothing happened. They got to the guy before he could arm himself. In this case, they had the right to do a no-knock, didn't use the no-knock, so they gave him a time, and a guy in the house obtained a firearm in that time that they were waiting to get in the house. When they entered, a police officer was shot. They returned fire, and they hit Breonna Taylor. Okay, she was killed, and that person who shot the police officer is going to be tried for her murder, because had he not fired on the officers, Breonna Taylor would be alive today. So Breonna's boyfriend fired at officers, striking an officer, and then so she wasn't asleep on her bed. I just had to point that out because I've not heard that on the news. I have not heard all those facts on the news. They think that, they went to the wrong house and that they just shot her while she slept in her bed.
Yeah, shot an innocent person, right?
Yeah, not true. So, and that's why, you hear like the stars like LeBron James tweeting, when Armand Arbery was killed. And I don't, I'm not going to litigate that case here, but he just said, we're hunted literally every day, every time we exceed the comfort of our homes. I can't even run a damn race. Are you trying to play me like, he says, WTF, man. None of you will kill me. So he's
who's hunting LeBron James?
Yeah, no.
Quite the opposite.
No, he's
people are, anywhere he goes, he packs arenas and convention centers because people pay big money to see him. Who's hunting him? They're probably hunting him to try to get his autograph.
He's saying
or to try to get a picture with him.
He's saying we as blacks are being hunted.
Yeah, exactly. He shouldn't include. He's part of the elite, Ruben.
Yeah, he is.
This guy's never been hunted a day in his life.
And he's followed by more whites than blacks. If truth be told, right? So,
yeah.
You want to pick up from there?
Yeah. It says here, according to a BJS special report, 91% of whites and 85% of blacks contacted by police during traffic stops said police behaved properly. Of citizens contacted during street stops, 81 said police acted properly. Only 2% of all citizens contacted by police experienced force or the threat of force. Here's another gem. It says, the number of unarmed blacks shot and killed by police are so low, most Americans recognize their names. Comparatively, every year police kill a larger number of unarmed whites, but almost no one knows their names.
Nope.
Here's another gem. If any group engages in more violent crime, you'll have more contact with police and a higher chance of being shot. And the black population in the U.S. has a higher crime rate than the white population. Here's another gem. According to the FBI UCR, there are 1,186,742 incidents of violent crime in 2018. And of them, 14,123 were homicide victims. Blacks comprised 54.9% of all homicide offenders, compared to 42.4% for whites. But blacks are only 13.4% of the U.S. population, yet they accounted for more than half of all the killings, all the homicides. Here's another gem. Homicide is not the only crime where the black population offends at higher rates. According to the FBI UCR, of 7,710 arrests reported in 2018, blacks comprised 27.4%, and approximately 28.6% of people arrested for rape were black, 54.2% of robbery arrests black, 33.7% per arrest of aggravated assaults were from black suspects, 29.4% of burglary arrests black suspects, and 30% of arrests for larceny theft. So it says, black arrest rates for violent crimes are also correlated with victim descriptions of offender race. Higher crime rate within the black population increases contact with police.
Yep.
And therefore the chance of police shootings within that community. Ruben, this guy did his homework. He's crunching a lot of numbers, and I'm telling you, he just dispels the whole myth about the fact that there's this systemic racism within the police departments. Here's the last gem I want to quote. It says, despite blacks being 13.4% of the population, blacks committed 9 times more interracial crimes against whites than whites against blacks. So if racism is the cause of interracial violence, white cops are not the problem. And here, from a Catholic perspective, why is this happening amongst blacks at a higher rate? They have more of a propensity for violence. I'll tell you why. Most of them, 3 out of 4 of them, don't have a father in home. That's why.
That's right. That's right. This is a number that stuck out to me because the FBI's National Incident-Based Reporting System, 61.5% of all offenders were male. And according to the FBI, for 2018, 87.7% of murder offenders were male. So that means approximately 6%, because if blacks make up 13% of the population and there's more women than men, so 6% are black. So that means approximately 6% of black males of the population committed approximately half the murders.
Wow.
6%.
That's a staggering statistic, Ruben.
Yeah. It is just
staggering.
And police officers have an 18.5% chance, a greater chance of being killed by a black man than a black man being killed by a policeman. But they will, the media and the politicians would have you believe that,
that it's the other way around.
Yeah, that they're being hunted. Oh, they can't go out. I can't let my kids go out in the streets. That is so ludicrous, so far from the truth. They're just lying to these children and to us, to have us. They're turning against us, and the reason why they're turning against us so that they can bring in their own brand of policing or their own social workers, and it's going to be chaos. And
Ruben, well, I guess they're going to implement it in Minnesota already.
Yeah. Well, it doesn't surprise me when there are parts of Minnesota where they're doing that Sharia law thing too. So it's not going to end well, Jesse.
No,
really is
without Jesus, nothing ends well.
Oh, that's right.
Get right with Jesus, because when it's all said and done, there's only 2 places you're going to go to: smoking or non-smoking.
I like that.
We'll be right back. Hi, this is Jesse Romero from the Terry and Jesse Show, also from Jesus 911. Let's face it, we all need to use the internet, but we need screen accountability. Why? Pornography is a huge problem, especially on the internet. And every time we tap into the internet, we get bombarded with images and temptations that degrade our humanity. So we need Covenant Eyes to block these pornographic sites and advertisements from infiltrating our lives. Covenant Eyes helps us take custody of our eyes and custody of our intellect. So I recommend you go to covenanteyes.com and type in the promo code VMPR to support the network. Protect yourself and your family from the imminent threats on the internet. www.covenanteyes.com, code VMPR. Live porn free. Thank you for listening to Virgin Most Powerful Radio. Thank you. God bless you. Keep the faith.
Healthcare news today seems to be coming from everywhere and everyone. It's confusing at least and untrustworthy at the worst. Dr. Aceta is a faithful Catholic in the Kern County community. He is trustworthy, well-researched, and will only give expert opinion on matters in his own specialty. Catholic teaching at its entirety is of utmost importance to Dr. Aceta. Give Dr. Aceta a call for your obstetrics and gynecological needs at 661-695-6617.
Buying or selling your home or your business property? This is Terry Barber. Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show. And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
Now, back to Jesus 911. If this call is not an emergency, dial 888-526-2151.
Jesus 911, we are back. Where iron sharpens iron, one man sharpens another. The last thing I want to say about this, Jesse, is the media and the protesters claim the violent actions of a few rioters do not represent most of the peaceful group, yet they argued the actions of one bad officer represents the whole. This faulty reasoning needs to stop. People need to forego emotional arguments for rational analysis, stop confusing correlation with causation, and understand the impact of confounding variables.
Good comment. Really good comment. Yeah, every shooting's got to be evaluated on its own merits, period. Yeah, good comment, Ruben. And you know what? If you're a scholar and you take a pro-police position right now, you can pay for it with your job. And I say that because this next topic, there's a scholar named Stephen Sue. That's HSU. Stephen Sue, he was forced to resign over a study that found police shootings are not biased against black. I think he's Asian without a doubt, Asian American without a doubt. I don't know, what is he, Japanese or Chinese? But it says here, the union rep tells the college to fix that university, and it should not share data that runs afoul of its support for Black Lives Matter protesters. So if you're a scholar in a college and you find information that the left doesn't like, well, it can cost you your job like it cost this guy's job. It says here, Michigan State University leaders have successfully pressured Stephen Sue to resign from his position as Vice President of Research and Innovation after the Graduate Employees Union launched a campaign to oust him from his role. This came from the union, which represents teaching and research assistants, crawled through years of blog posts and interviews that Sue had conducted, and they criticized him for sharing content on genetic differences amongst different races. But the main thrust to oust Mr. Sue came because the professor touted Michigan State research that found police are not more likely to shoot African Americans. I'll repeat, not more likely to shoot African Americans. That's the data that he put out based on the research that he acquired. And so the victory of the Twitter mob, it's going to have a chilling effect on academic freedom throughout the country. Because Sue said, he told the college fix via email, he says, the union had taken advantage of a Black Lives Matter linked hashtag shutdown STEM Day on June 10th to help oust him. And Professor Sue stepped down from his vice president role on June 19th after pressure from the union and the president of the university, Samuel Stanley. Mr. Sue will stay on as a physics professor at Michigan State. However, the union also circulated a petition against Mr. Sue that accused him of scientific racism that garnered over 800 signers, and an open letter signed by more than 500 faculty and staff at Michigan State argued that Mr. Sue supports the idea that intelligence is linked to genetics. Ruben, you know, colleges were places where you're supposed to have this open discussion of ideas, and they call themselves free thinkers and open-minded. College is the last place where there's free expression of ideas today.
Yeah, I'm. If you're raising a child right now, I mean, you better go find a college that teaches true Catholicism, the true history, this stuff that they're putting out in local, in just about every college is it's brainwashing, and your kids are going to lose their faith.
And they'll be marching on the street with Black Lives Matter or Antifa or Occupy Wall Street. I'm telling you, and you may be laughing, but I bet half of those people are baptized Catholics that went to these liberal colleges, and now they're completely brainwashed by the demon of progressive liberalism.
Save your money, save your money. And you're going to go into debt by you're going to accrue over $100,000 in debt, and then your kids are going to come out messed up. So, but, go have them start a business. It's not going to end well. And this is what the left does. They don't like the you often hear Larry Elder saying this, don't confuse me with the facts. So he's been saying this for years, and they've written him off. So since I'm on the subject of Larry Elder, the 9th, so I think it's this Thursday, his documentary is coming out called Uncle Tom.
Oh, wow.
So you're going to want to see that, because he breaks this all down, that there's no systemic racism going on. He's been saying it for years, and the blacks, they dislike him, as they do a lot of these other conservative blacks,
like Candace Owens.
Candace Owens, another one.
Like that black sheriff from, forget where
he was from Minneapolis. No, he was from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then the former Congress.
Ruben, they I don't know if you knew that they ran Larry Elder out of radio. It was black protesters. He was on 790 KABC for years.
Yeah.
They went over there. They kept doing protests in front of the station, and KFI just they didn't have the stomach to keep him on. They let him go. Then he got picked up, thanks be to God, by a bigger network, which he went from local to national. He went to Salem Radio.
He's on TV all the time. Fox has him all the time, and so the counter guy to Larry Elder was always Leo Terrell, and now Leo Terrell is.
Oh, Leo's made a big right turn, Ruben.
Yep, I don't know if I mentioned it here, but he was when we got into a shooting, a very legitimate shooting. He was the attorney that represented the guy who that we shot, and he did it pro bono, so he was hoping to cash in on excessive force by the Sheriff's Department and Whittier Police Department, who we joined with on that night. And that wasn't to be found. The jury unanimously voted in our favor, so we were defendants. And I had the pleasure of meeting Leo Terrell and him deposing me and interviewing me, and he made it clear that his sister was a sheriff deputy, and
oh, really?
Yeah, she worked Carson or in the courts, and so now he's really livid about what the black movement and this Black Lives is doing, and what the black politicians and how they're lying to us, and so I really think he's because he was actually on Mark Levin, which is he is really right wing, so. But this is what's happening in colleges across America. They do studies. There was another Harvard professor, Jesse, that came up with the same studies that we just did in the last episode, in the last segment, about the black shootings. That the police are not shooting blacks, indiscriminately. They may have because they're saying, well, the police shoot them at 25 or 26% clip. And they only make up 13% of the population, but yet, when you look at the amount of crimes they're committing, the police are in the right place at the right time. That's you're not going to go after people who are driving to and from church carrying a Bible. When I stop somebody like that, Jess, I see a Bible on the front seat. Oh, you know what? I apologize. You go on your way, young sir. You go on your way, ma'am. That wasn't what we didn't go out there saying, hey, let's find a black man or a Mexican to take to jail. We say, let's go find a crook to take to jail. It doesn't matter what color they were. A crook is a crook in any color. If he's wearing a uniform, he's a crook. And I don't want him in our profession.
Right.
Okay.
Ruben, let me break it down in blue collar street language, urban language people can understand.
Yes. Let's do it.
Let's say you're a hunter and you're in the jungle. Okay. Are you going to be more cautious of a lion or a tiger, or are you going to be more cautious of a deer or, a gazelle or... Here's the point that I'm making. A hunter knows which animals are more dangerous. If you're going to go deep sea diving, or you're more afraid of a hammerhead shark than you are of a dolphin. Of course you are. The same with cops, Ruben. Cops are trained. They're saying, okay, this section of the city has a higher crime rate. Young black males from 18 to 35 have a propensity for more violent crime. So you're more apprehensive, as rightfully so. Like if you would jump into the ocean, they say, "Hey, there's sharks in this part of the pier where you're diving. Just be advised." Or if you jump in this side of the pier, and they say, "Oh, this is a haven of dolphins. You have nothing but dolphins here." Okay, and nobody, there hasn't been a shark attack here in 100 years. Well, were you going to be more or less apprehensive? It's the same thing with a street cop. A street cop knows which parts of the city they're beat, there's more crime, and who the people that commit more crimes. They know who they are. They know the profile.
Yeah.
Generally, again, young people, males, not between 18 and 35, and then specifically black. That's just what the studies are bearing out. And so, of course, cops are more apprehensive in these areas and around this profile of people. Of course they are. It's called street survival, and that's something they teach you on day one.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, exactly, Jesse. Before I left the department, there was this is when Obama was in office. He had requested that the Justice Department ask every agency to keep track of who they stopped, because they were trying to create a pattern that we were just stopping minorities, and that we were targeting minorities. And just like you said, we're going to go where the crime is. I work predominantly Hispanic area, so I've had Hispanics say, "Oh, you stop me because I'm Mexican." Well, show me a black man around here. Show me an Asian man. The Asians in Monterey Park didn't come into East LA. They bordered us. I mean, we would cross in sometimes, just going to some of our calls into Monterey Park, but you didn't see them in East LA. So I wasn't stopping them. And
Ruben, and even in East LA, I could tell you could see who the profile of the crooks are. It'd be young Hispanics between 18 and 35.
Yep.
You're not going to be stopping Hispanics in their 60s, going to a holy hour or going to their Legion of Mary meeting.
Yeah.
It's pretty simple.
Yeah. So you got to watch what you're saying out there. You're gonna lose your job.
Help the Helpless, a Minnesota St. Paul nonprofit organization chaired by Father of Tear and volunteers, is humbly asking you for your kind support to help the poor and the handicapped children in India and Ecuador. Through financial support from the Help of the Helpless benefactors, the children are provided with clothing, food, education, shelter, and the teachings of the Catholic Church. The mission is to help children thrive and become self-sufficient young adults leading productive lives. We also provide aid to poor families in Ecuador with food baskets, medicines, medical assistance, and help with funeral needs for the deceased. The work in India is done by Father Antonio's organization, St. Mary's. In Ecuador, the work is being done by the Servant Sisters of the Home of Mother. You can call us at 877-762-8857. To learn more, please visit our website, www.helpthehelpless.org. God bless you.
Jesus said in Matthew 26, "Stay awake and pray that you may not enter into temptation." According to St. Ephrem, Jesus, who feared nothing, experienced fear and asked to be freed from death, although he knew it was impossible. How much more must we persevere in prayer before temptation assails us, so that we may be freed when the test has come? May God grant that we may withstand temptation and carry out His will in all things.
Buying or selling your home or your business property? This is Terry Barber. Real Estate for Life underwrites the Terry and Jesse Show. And they can connect you to one of 900 pro-life real estate agents around the world. And when they receive their referral fee, they will give 80% of it to a pro-life organization. Wow, that's 80%. realestateforlife.org, 877-LIFE-US1.
Now, back to Jesus 911. If this call is not an emergency, dial 888-526-2151.
Jesus 911, two-man car, 10-8. We're giving you things to put in your war bag so that you can go out and evangelize the world. And just when we talk about these issues they're coming after professors, stand by because they're coming after us, Catholics. And
it's happening right now.
yeah, I think on Thursday we may be talking about this priest that was fired or removed from his position because he from a sermon. He's in Indiana. From a sermon he laid out that Black Lives
Matter. He told
Matter.
the truth.
Yeah, the Black Lives Matter is antithetical to what a Catholic could believe. Just look at their website. They want to destroy the nuclear family, and for that he's been removed from by his weak bishop, who gave in to people protesting. We have to stand on our laurels. We have to take a stand. If we just sit back and let them push us around, and we're going to lose everything. I've seen videos now where Black Lives Matter are walking into the sanctuaries of churches. I haven't seen
and attacking people.
Yeah, so it's not a peaceful protest, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, Ruben, these are that priests told it like it was. It's they're communists. This is a communist organization that uses the title Black Lives Matter. There's nothing racial in their when you look at their mission statement. It has nothing to do with race. It's all communist ideology that they're trying to push using the title, the cloak, Black Lives Matter, because for them it's like a bulletproof vest. It gives them the ability to go out in the streets and protest and hold these large rallies. But once again, all they're doing is just a front for communism in this country. And that priest identified it clearly, and God bless him. I'm telling you, he made some brownie points with our Lord and Our Lady, and his bishop is going to have to be standing tall one day, and he's going to have to answer for suspending a priest like this, a priest of this caliber in his diocese. This guy's a St. Paul, a John the Baptist, and he's paying the price for speaking the truth.
That's right, Jesse. So we too have to be ready to give an answer for the hope that's within us. And if it offends some people, well, then so be it. But we can't shrink back. In this times, we're looking for warriors. We're looking for sheepdogs. We're looking for people who are going to be leaders because we're getting to a point where we're going to lose our freedom of religion, our freedom to assemble. And don't think it's not happening. That's why this election is so important, and we're going to have to continue to push for people to get out there, get out of their comfort zone, and start, rallying for President Trump.
Yep, that's right. That's why I wrote this book. It's right here, Catholic Vote for Trump. Yep. It's on 10 books, Amazon.com, my website. We have no choice. He must win in November, or we're going to lose whatever advances we've made, Ruben. We're going to lose them. Hey, speaking about sheepdogs, I want you to listen to a short clip from a sheepdog. His name is Jack Webb. Okay, he's the one that you're going to recognize his voice from Dragnet. But I think that this little spiel, it's like the Jack Nicholson, you can't handle the truth, but this speech is for cops instead of the military. This is Jack Webb. Can you put the clip on, please?
In other words, you're a college man. She'd like to have seen you land a job with a little more status attached. Is that it?
I guess that's part of it.
But not all of it. I think maybe I can understand how she feels. And maybe she's right, Culver. It's awkward having a policeman around the house. Friends drop in, a man with a badge answers the door. The temperature drops 20 degrees. You throw a party and a badge gets in the way. All of a sudden, there isn't a straight man in the crowd. Everybody's a comedian. Don't drink too much, somebody says, and the man with the badge will run you in. Or how's it going, Dick Tracy? How many jaywalkers did you pinch today? And then there's always the one who wants to know how many apples you stole. All at once, you lost your first name. You're a cop, a flatfoot, a bull, a dick, John Law. You're the fuzz, the heat, you're poison, you're trouble, you're bad news. They call you everything, but never a policeman. Maybe she's right. It's not much of a life unless you don't mind missing a Dodger game because the hotshot phone rings. Unless you like working Saturdays, Sundays, holidays at a job that doesn't pay overtime. Oh, the pay's adequate. If you count your pennies, you can put your kid through college. But you better plan on seeing Europe on your television set. And then there's your first night on the beat. When you try to arrest a drunken prostitute in a Main Street bar and she rips your new uniform to shreds, you'll buy another one out of your own pocket. And you're gonna rub elbows with all the elite. Pimps, addicts, thieves, bums, winos, girls who can't keep an address, and men who don't care. Liars, cheats, con men, the class of Skid Row. And the heartbreak. Underfed kids, beaten kids, molested kids, lost kids, crying kids, homeless kids, hit and run kids, broken arm kids, broken leg kids, broken head kids, sick kids, dying kids, dead kids. The old people that nobody wants, the reliefers, the pensioners, the ones who walk the street cold, and those who tried to keep warm and died in a $3 room with an unvented gas heater. You'll walk your beat and try to pick up the pieces. Do you have real adventure in your soul, Culver? You better have, because you're going to do time in a prowl car. Oh, it's going to be a thrill a minute when you get an unknown trouble call and hit a backyard at 2 in the morning, never knowing who you'll meet. A kid with a knife, a pillhead with a gun, or 2 ex-cons with nothing to lose. And you're going to have plenty of time to think. You'll draw duty in a lonely car with nobody to talk to but your radio. 4 years in uniform, you'll have the ability, the experience, and maybe the desire to be a detective. If you like to fly by the seat of your pants, this is where you belong. For every crime that's committed, you've got 3 million suspects to choose from. Most of the time, you'll have few facts and a lot of hunches. You'll run down leads that dead end on you. You'll work all-night stakeouts that could last a week. You'll do legwork until you're sure you've talked to everybody in the state of California. People who saw it happen, but really didn't. People who insist they did it, but really didn't. People who remember, those who try to forget. Those who tell the truth, those who lie. You'll run the files until your eyes ache. And paperwork? Oh, you fill out a report when you're right. You'll fill out a report when you're wrong. You'll fill one out when you're not sure. You'll fill one out listing your leads. You'll fill one out when you have no leads. You'll make out a report on the reports you've made. You'll write enough words in your lifetime to stock a library. You'll learn to live with doubt, anxiety, frustration. Court decisions that tend to hinder rather than help you. Dorado, Morse, Escobedo, Cahan. You'll learn to live with the district attorney, testifying in court, defense attorneys, prosecuting attorneys, judges, juries, witnesses. And sometimes you're not going to be happy with the outcome. Maybe your girlfriend's right, Culver. But there's also this. There are over 5,000 men in this city who know that being a policeman is an endless, glamourless, thankless job that's got to be done. I know it too, and I'm damn glad to be one of them.
Wow, that's so true, man. That I love hearing Jack Webb like that. That's at his best.
Ruben, apparently when he passed away, he was buried with full police honors.
Wow.
And the cops around the country, they put the flags at half-mast, at half-staff. They put black on their badges when he passed away. Hear the respect of every cop in this country, because what he did, I'll tell you what he did. This was back in the 60s when law enforcement, LAPD, and LA sheriffs, they were persona non grata. This is, again, this right after the Vietnam era, Vietnam War. There's all this pushback from, again, the cultural Marxists back at that time, and always calling the policemen, always calling them pig, that pig mentality. California was also getting a new governor, Reagan. And so this Jack Webb and this program did a lot for law enforcement at a time when, once again, law enforcement was being demonized just like they are right now.
Right. If you notice in that clip, the young man that he's talking to later becomes Jim Reed from Adam 12. He's the actor who played Jim Reed. And that was another spinoff from Dragnet, was Adam 12. So those are good times when the police was still getting some respect, and we have to pray for our police officers.
Yeah, because it's a God-ordained profession.
And Jesse, there's the numbers show that in some of these major let's just face it, Democratic-run cities that are ripe with violence, there's up to 63% a drop in applications for law enforcement. So, who wants to do the job nowadays?
And a rise in crime, by the way, in all those cities, a huge spike.
Right. So we it's a calling. It's not for the squeamish or the feeble.
Nope. It's not for the half-hearted.
No. You got to go in knowing what you're getting into, what could happen. There's no sure thing that you're going to come home every night. So we just got to pray for our police officers. Give them, Lord, the fortitude, and to seek justice. The four cardinal virtues.
Yes.
That they need to carry out their jobs, and we need to also pray for the virtues that we can, as Catholics, defend our faith and live our faith in this time of uncertitude. We just are living in a turbulent time, and without our Lord and Our Lady and getting in deep into the ship, going out into the deep with Jesus and putting our nets down. We're let Him tell us where we need to go. And
that's right, Ruben. A lot of what Jack Webb said it still rings true today. Those are kind of like, it's like a perfect script.
Yeah.
And the Dragnet version, the Adam 12, those were great shows that showed the nobility of law enforcement. It really did.
Yeah.
The way it is a God-ordained profession. And Jack Webb was a true gentleman. There was no BS in his words. This guy just spoke the truth. And it just reminds me that, Blue lives matter as well. People seem to forget that. I don't envy the job of being a cop today. My two sons, I don't envy their position at all.
Mm-hmm.
But we have to say that blue lives matter. And if it wasn't for them, that thin blue line, we would descend into anarchy. And I think this little 4-minute clip should be a standard in every police academy. I think Jack Webb was a great man, and I think that he's done law enforcement a great service by giving us Dragnet and 1 Adam 12, and just by even the voiceovers and a lot of the training videos. And so, Jack Webb, may you rest in peace in the arms of God. Amen.
Amen. I would just give a plug for. I know Terry has been advocating that there's a group of Minutemen that want to put their name on the list so that if the agitators, the anarchists start coming to destroy a church, we can be called. I'm on that list. And so Terry puts his phone number out there. I'll let him put it out, and text him with your number. He'll put your name on the list, and be willing to come out and defend Holy Mother Church, or statues, or sanctuaries. Let's get out there. Let's do some holy hours, guys. Let's get out there and fast, prayer, that rosary. Step it up. Time to not one rosary a day, 2 rosaries, 3 rosaries a day.
Amen.
All right, let's wrap it up, Jess.
St. Padre Pio says, pray, hope, and don't worry. Worry's useless. Up next, Gary Machuda, the big guy, hands-on apologetics from the Midwest Command Center. We're out. 10-7. See you tomorrow.
St. Faustina's Prayer for Priests. O my Jesus, I beg thee on behalf of the whole Church, grant it love and the light of thy Spirit, and give power to the words of priests, so that hardened hearts might be brought to repentance and return to thee, O Lord. Lord, give us holy priests. Thou thyself maintain them in holiness. O divine and great high priest, may the power of thy mercy accompany them everywhere, and protect them from the devil's traps and snares, which are continually being set for the souls of priests. May the power of thy mercy, O Lord, shatter and bring to naught all that might tarnish the sanctity of priests. For thou canst do all things. Amen. Virgin most powerful, pray for us.